what we know is he wants to cut childcare. He wants to cut school food programs, and he wants to cut the experts who would refute his misinformation.
Hard for the Conservative men to control their toxic masculinity. I mean, they do support men got to go their own way.
Welcome to Canada Wide, and here we have an NDP that keeps saying that the Conservatives want to cut everything and climate tax is amazing and there's experts. So be quiet, listen, shut up. The experts say it and no discussion whatsoever. And I'm not sure what the toxic masculinity, where that came from, but you know, when you don't win an argument, it's great to throw that out there. Let's have a whole listen to this and how it goes to the end, and Pierre answers great with that. Let's have a listen.
Canadians have been witnessing flooding, extreme weather, droughts, and experts have been clear that what's raising costs on food is far more the climate crisis than carbon pricing. Now, over a decade ago, when the leader of the opposition was a minister, the Harper government cut the National Roundtable on the Environment and the Economy, which collected information on the costs of the climate crisis. You know, he says he wants to cut taxes, but we know he wants to cut childcare. He wants to cut the school food programs. He wants to cut the experts who would...
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, the honourable member from Winnipeg Centre.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I know it's really hard for the Conservative men to control their toxic masculinity. I mean, they do support men got to go their own way. But my colleague's trying to answer a question.
Is this a matter of order?
I was wondering if... So I'm going to ask all members, please, to allow the questions and comments to be asked without interruption, so that we can hear the question, especially for the person who is trying to answer the questions that are being asked. The honourable member for Victoria has to be very brief in order to allow the honourable member an equal amount of time to respond. So if you could just wrap this up in the next 5 seconds, please. So I'm going to ask all members, please, to allow the questions and comments to be asked without interruption, so that we can hear the question, especially for the person who is trying to answer the questions that are being asked. The honourable member for Victoria has to be very brief in order to allow the honourable member an equal amount of time to respond. So if you could just wrap this up in the next 5 seconds, please.
Mr. Speaker, he says he wants to cut taxes, but what we know is he wants to cut childcare. He wants to cut school food programs, and he wants to cut the experts who would refute his misinformation.
The honourable member from Carleton.
First of all, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, let's go through them point by point. She says that the natural disasters would be stopped by a carbon tax. Well, the carbon tax has now been in place for 5 years, and as she points out, these events continue to happen. So clearly, the carbon tax is not solving the problem. In fact, all it has done, in fact, it hasn't even reduced emissions. The government has missed its own targets in all but 1 year, and that was when we were locked down for COVID. Their own Environment Commissioner says they won't hit their targets by 2030. Second, she just revealed what she wants to spend money on, a national roundtable, a bunch of activists and lobbyists and bureaucrats in Ottawa. She refers to a food program that she claims I want to cut. There is no food program. Yeah, exactly. What they have is a program to bring a bunch of bureaucrats and activists to talk about food in Ottawa. This is exactly the kind of waste and mismanagement that we will get rid of so that we can bring home affordable food.
The honourable member from Stormont Dundee.
I don't understand why it doesn't sink in with climate change people. Even Hurricane Hazel, 1954 in Toronto. Some people died. I'm not sure 10 people died. Was that climate change? No. Now, there was also a tornado in Barrie in 1985. Was that climate change? No. So I don't understand. They throw out all this stuff about climate change and not managing the forest and making it worse. And then you throw in facts and they hate it. Then they say that you want to cut kids funding, you want to cut food. Then you're a misogynist, a bigot. Go down the list of every kind of phobia, and then at the end say, you know, you're toxic masculinity if you can't win the conversation, and then, you know, then you have Randy or like Trudeau just going off screaming about everything. Like, that's really how all the conversations really go. Like, I don't get it. If you're looking at facts, where are the facts? There are none. They've never made the target, and I'll try to find Randy bragging about how he lowered greenhouse gases in 2020, and we failed to mention it's from COVID. Like, this is how arrogant that they are. Like, that it was almost like a great year for them because they could lower greenhouse gases. Like, and they're taking credit for that the tax did it. So I don't get it. And, you know, the 1.5% greenhouse emissions is Canadian. Like, what about the other stuff? The 30, what is it, 30 or 40% is China. And I like the stuff in Dollarama and all over Canada that you can buy. Don't get me wrong, but like, let's be realistic here of where the greenhouse gases come from, and everything that we enjoy in Canada that is based on fossil fuels. And there's no electricity grid to electrify every electric car anyways in Canada. It would start collapsing. So I don't know why they don't think about the whole big picture. Anyway, I thought I'd bring this up, and I don't understand with the toxic masculinity what's going on. It's just really, the whole thing seemed to be a shit show in government. I mean, what do they make, $500 an hour? There were, 100 people there? To talk about something useless for 5 minutes seems like a total waste of time. Anyway, thanks for watching. Best of goodbyes.